I only need you for 6 months though. Well, my 6 months turned into a year. These women became my why to what I wrote. One question, how did you get to? I took that blow at the beginning of this year, and I knew I was graduating in May. I said, this is not how the story was supposed to, because he said, I see you at the top. This is raw.
Yes.
And this is uncut.
Welcome back to the GenCare Podcast, your platform for inspiring stories of leadership, education, and transformation. I'm your host, Leslie Deans Bryant, and today we have an extraordinary guest, Dr. LaSchanda Johnson, aka Dr. Shanda, a scholar researcher who is redefining education, leadership, and empowerment. From internal auditing for the largest community college system in the United States to groundbreaking research on Black women in leadership, Dr. Shanda's journey is a powerful testament to the importance of voice, resilience, and leadership. Hi, Shanda. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Care Den. This is called the Care Den because in here we truly care. We talk about topics that's meaningful and that can help someone else be better in life overall. Okay? So first we're going to take a toast. Oh. So this is just we're going into the new year, of course, but just to allow over 30 plus years of friendship.
30 plus, yeah.
Education. And prosperity.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. So now, everyone who enters the Care Den, first thing you have to do is open the gem box.
Oh, okay.
There's a gem that has been left.
Okay.
Just grab one of them.
Okay.
Read the name who left you this gem.
Sasha Adrian Lawrence.
Yes.
Okay. You are going to be the first millionaire in your family. Claim it. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
So Sasha is a student at USC. She is graduating this year. Next year, of course. And yeah, she is amazing. She's my soror, but I met her at a meeting and she asked me to mentor her, and she is like, her story when we posted is crazy. And so she was my first Gen Z, and she was bringing it. So she's dope. So wow. I love that.
Cheers to Sasha. I know you just said that you're her mentor.
Yes.
But she's actually, this note is mentoring me. So
absolutely.
I appreciate
it. Oh my God.
I appreciate this, Sasha. Thank you.
You're welcome. So put that behind. And so now we are going to dive into a whole bunch of good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So you've had an incredible journey from going from political science at the amazing Southern University.
Go Jags.
And A&M College.
Yes.
Can you tell that we both went there? I'm just saying.
Go Jags. Yes.
Majoring in political science to double doctorate.
Yeah.
In between MBA.
Yeah.
At Pepperdine University.
Absolutely.
So, can you share with me what drove you to continue to pursue such a diverse educational path?
Initially, when I started my educational journey, I picked, at the time, Southern and Grambling were the two schools to pick.
Right.
It was, this is where the party is, go to these two schools. So at that time, I just wanted to go to the party.
Right.
So for me, all my friends at my school at the time were going to Southern. Mm-hmm. So they was like, oh, you going to the underdog? I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. Go to Southern. I get to Southern, it's complete culture shock.
Wow.
Coming from the city.
So wait, hold on. All your other friends was going to Southern or going to Grambling?
They were going to Southern.
Okay.
So they're going to Southern. Here's the interesting part. They're all going to Southern, so we all fill out the applications. We're getting, we're excited. We take the SAT. That's a whole nother story. But
right.
We take the SAT. Southern accepts me. I'm excited. So I'm beyond excited because I'm at this point where low SAT, 2.0 student.
Wow.
I'm like, nobody will gamble with me. Southern did.
Okay.
So I says, okay. So I get to school and it's a culture shock. coming from a big city. I'm a city kid. Grew up in Los Angeles. Graduated from a big high school. And
Crenshaw High, you can say it.
absolutely,
Yes.
Crenshaw High is where I'm from. Make no mistakes, And so I get to Southern, and it's different. It's completely different. The South is different. I don't know too much about the South because my whole family is in California. I have family in Houston, but it was never really talked about that much because everybody was in California. So here we are. Get there, meet a whole tribe. Meet a whole tribe of California kids from the Bay all the way down, from Northern Cali to Southern Cali. We all became family. And from there, we started to gravitate to
Chicago people.
Students, from other areas. So I noticed that all the city kids started to click up. So we clicked up with Chicago, and it was Detroit, and it was Houston, and it was Atlanta. And then it was started to be small places that we've never heard of before, but they had life. But the interesting piece about HBCU, mine in particular, is it was a vibe. We always vibing. So regardless to where you came from, I was Shonda from Cali. It was a Shonda from Chicago.
Yes.
So we never really knew last names. We just knew where you were from. So that was the nucleus about it. The great thing about it is we all went on to fulfill wonderful lives, and we moved on. Graduated from there because I was on a 5-year deal. Keep in mind, I was a party school. So my first year was about a party. It wasn't about a class. It was about a party. What you don't do is take an 8 a.m. class, and I don't care what school you go to. Just don't do it. It's not a good thing. It's not a good look.
You learned that sophomore year after I told you that, because I was on a 4-year deal at the same party school on the dean's list all the time, but you also got to have structure and discipline.
That part, and that's what I had to learn along this journey.
We are both Aries. Our personalities are very similar, and we are going to turn up.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, you are correct, and you are correct. So
I am. So at that point, I'm like, you learn from those before you. So that was good that we actually locked up. I clicked up with my Long Beach family, my Carson family, and those that were there actually set the pathway, to move forward. And so as we navigate this educational journey, I graduated, went on, got married, had my son. And from there, I said I wanted a master's degree.
Right.
I was working in healthcare at the time, and healthcare for me was my first end-all be-all. It was my first job when I graduated from college. They were the only one to give me a job at the time. And I'm like, I got a college degree. Somebody should hire me. Right. That is the biggest misconception that is out there. I have a degree, so you should hire me. That's not the case. It doesn't work that way.
Facts.
Okay.
But thank you for sharing that, because it does not.
Because it's important that we know that, because I can sit here and tell you with double doctors, oh, you should be the CEO, the CFO, the COO of this. No, it doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't work that way. And that's what's interesting about this journey. And so after I got this master's, I said, I'm in healthcare. I'm going to stay in healthcare. Became an auditor for healthcare.
Okay.
And at first it was just small claims, looking at small dollar amounts. And then all of a sudden, I shot all the way up to looking at $5 million claims, $10 million. So I'm looking at exactly how bills are paid. So at that point, I understood healthcare. I had no idea that I would need this information later in life.
Wow.
Because at that moment, I just wanted a job. I'm moving up the ranks. I go from just a claims auditor to a, oversight auditor of this department, to now I'm the senior. Then I move away strictly from claims and become the internal auditor. Now I'm looking at the operation of the organization.
Okay.
So now it's different. I'm going, oh, so you stepped up. You learning some stuff. You get some certifications. You meet the people. They like you. And I'm going, they like this rah-rah Teflon skin. They do,
Yes.
So I'm going, okay. So we keep going. I'm going on. I move on. Then all of a sudden, we get laid off. And I've been in healthcare for years. And so at that time, the company that
What year was that?
That was in 2005.
Because it was around the time when I had got laid off that first time. Yes.
Yeah, it was right around the time. We were the same time, because I think you were doing the pharmaceutical stuff. Yeah, it was all happening in healthcare.
That's why it's coming back to me, yes. Which is crazy, because healthcare is universal.
It is.
You're always going to need healthcare.
Absolutely.
That is one industry that should be safe, but it wasn't. And that was the interesting part. It wasn't. And that was
safe.
a huge wake-up call.
It was a huge wake-up call. And at the time, once we were laid off, we knew the date that was coming,
Right.
but we didn't know. You know, when you hear a date and you're going, "Oh, I just want a service package." At that time, I'm still young. I'm
Right.
still not understanding.
You didn't win awards. You're doing great.
Exactly.
It's like, no.
I moved up in my career. I just switched from claims. Now I'm looking at the oversight of the whole organization. Everything is happening, and so I said, "Okay." We got laid off. Once we were laid off, I said I was going to go look for another job. Well, what happened to be just perfect timing. Was my previous director at the time, he was laid off as well. And so he went back to just being a director of audit to actually being an auditor again himself.
Wow.
And so at that point, he called me and he says, "You remember," he mentions who she was. He says, "She has a startup health plan. She called me to help her, but I can't. So I recommended you. You should go help her." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "This is the number. Call her. They're in desperate need." He says, "And if it helps, they used to be one of our clients." And I said, "Oh, okay." So that was even better. Well, I knew the health plan already because I used to audit the health plan.
Okay.
So when she called, when I called her, she was so excited. She was like, "Oh my God." She says, "I need you. I only need you for 6 months though." She says, "As a consultant." I said, "Okay, I can do that." Well, my 6 months turned into a year.
Okay.
Okay. We get to the year mark. That year went another year.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so this is happening. Keep in mind, I'm still a consultant. So I'm enjoying the labors of being a consultant because at that time, my son was playing sports.
Right.
So I was able to be at the school and go to the practices and be the
worked
team mom.
for you.
Exactly. So at that point, I'm not seeing it as it's beneficial. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm a consultant. If I don't work, I don't get paid. And I'm not looking at the pluses because I don't see them at the moment because I'm in it. And so I go, okay. So the years start adding up. I ended up being there almost 5 years as a consultant. And
so no real benefits, no anything, because you don't even realize it. Okay.
And I don't. But I was comfortable because my husband was gainfully employed and I was on his plan. So we had benefits. So I was like, okay, I can, this can work. And the contract ended and it ended abruptly. It was, okay, they're laying off. Once again, the entire management team, it was a new startup health plan. They were being bought again. So here we go through this transition again. LaSchanda, thank you for your services. We no longer need you. Here's your final check. Okay, great. Luckily, the check was a huge check, so I was happy. I was like, okay, I can.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to be straight for a minute.
Let me go find, I got time. Yes.
Right. And so I spent that time saying, I still have to do something because idle minds is a devil's workshop. And so I have no time to sit there and just waste. All of my time is pretty much, it's valuable. I look at time as being valuable.
Because you can't get it back.
It's
the most, is valuable. It's the most misused, but it's the most valuable thing that you can offer.
Exactly.
It's truly your time.
Right.
Because you can't get it back.
Nope.
And you also have taken time away from something else to give to someone else.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm laid off. Here we are. Once again, I'm back at the square. I got my son. I'm still the team mom, still the football mom. And so I started paying attention to what I was doing. And so you do self-inventory. And self-inventory says, you've been in the same square block for this long. What's the next move? Because how long are you going to sit here? How long are you going to sit here? So I started looking for a job. And I says, I'm going to look for a job. Because in my mind at the time, it was get a college degree, get a family, get a job. That is...
Because that was the baby boomer thought process.
Exactly.
And we were raised by baby boomers.
Exactly.
So you were not allowed to think out the box, even though we were thinking out the box the entire time. But you wanted to stay on that path.
Exactly. So I kept saying, if I stay truly on this path, where will it get me? So I had to realize that my dreams were bigger than where I was. They were so big that they actually scared me. So when they start to scare me, I knew I was in the right ballpark. And I says, okay, what's your next move? Here we are. You lay on the couch. You go to practice with your son. You take him to practice. You come home, then you lay on the couch and you watch movies from 7 to 9. What you gonna do? And I started counting those weeks that happened. That's how I ended up getting a master's degree.
Because like, let me enroll in. Let's do something.
Let's do something because I'm sitting here doing nothing. I knew my shows that came on. I had it lined up. I mean, I'm real. You know, you an Aries,
Yes,
so we operate in order.
we're very structured.
We're structured. We're really structured.
Yes, and but we also are risk takers.
Very much so, and that's where it comes in at.
Yes, but we're very structured, so we can go outside that box.
Right.
But I think for us, the biggest thing is the fear of going out that box. We're not actually afraid to do it. It's the fear of what others are going to say.
And that's what leads to imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
And that's why so many of us have that.
Yes.
Because our biggest fear is what others will say. You get to a point in life, it's not about what others say. Because you know how this story ends, right?
Right.
We all die.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how it ends. So
and that's it.
At the end of the day, you have to do what is beneficial to your soul, what makes you feel good. And so from there, I journeyed. I got a master's degree, still sat down, promised myself after I got that MBA degree, because I got the picture of my son hugging me when I got it. He was probably like 6 years old. He was just hugging me so tight. And I told myself, I'm going to get a doctor's degree. Keep in mind, I didn't know when, where, what. I just knew it was on my mind.
It.
I said, I'm going to get one. Here's the funny part. I did the whole teen mom thing. I was mom at from Pop Warner football to high school to teen mom. I was that mom. When I say there, I was there. It was nothing that was going to stop me from being available for my son.
Right.
There was nothing. So I was there. He gets 18. He's off his way to college. I spent that first year trying to get me back. First I said, okay, what do I do? I was so used to being the Saturday mom, the Friday night mom, the Monday through Thursday mom. And then all of a sudden now he's grown.
And he's very unbothered.
Yes. And he's
headed across the country.
Yeah. Mom, I'm going
to the
here.
Other HBC, the other HU.
The other,
Howard, he's headed there. You know,
he gets there. Wait a minute. He gets to Howard. And then I'm going, okay, what do I do? So that first year, I did everything I didn't do from the time he was, I want to say 8 to 18. I went to parties. I went to events.
You did.
I was on planes.
You were showing up. You were traveling.
I went everywhere. And after that 1 year, I said, this is what you're going to do. Here we go. So you have to have conversation with self. And people always laugh when I say that. No, I'm dead serious.
No. You've had these conversations with me. You're like, Les, I'm watching. I see you. You was like, I'm on it.
I'm on it. Because here's the thing. My thing is, at some point in time, that self-reflection is, if you don't self-reflect and you don't take self-inventory, then that's a whole nother conversation that you have to have. You need to seek something else higher than that. Because you have to know when you are at a crash and burn state.
But I'm going to bring this up because you and I have talked about this. We also sometimes want more than what others want for themselves. And we've had to learn to fall back because they don't see what we see.
Yeah.
Because we're not just dreamers, we're visionaries. We see so much. And it's not really hard to motivate us because we move on our own terms. It's just when we're going to go do it. But when we see other people and we're like, come on. And we see it so much bigger. And we sometimes insert ourselves, and we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't, yeah.
But it's not wrong that we're doing. They just don't see what we see.
Sometimes. So everybody is given a vision.
Absolutely.
And some visions are a little bit more discerning than others.
Yes.
Excuse me. And so I'm able to see certain interactions. These are gifts that people don't realize that they have because you wake up with them every day and you do them. So you don't know that, so for example, I have a girlfriend who is, this is what's interesting. She's very much OCD. Everything has to be, regardless to where she is, it has to be spotless. She comes with her own supplies, regardless to where she goes. I don't care. Any hotel, travel, boat, she has it. And she's going to clean it top to bottom. Then she's going to come and entertain and have fun. Here's what's interesting about that. I'm saying that to say is she knows this about herself. And she was working at a homeless shelter, right? The homeless shelter, she was part of the facilities, cleaning up and getting everything in order for winter.
Right.
They tried to give her a different position. It says, you are so good at this. We want you to be part of the intake team.
Right.
Maybe you can oversee the intake team when they come in and and she says, no. She says, I like
what I do.
And this facility, I might have to utilize some of these rooms. So they need to look like I would use them. So she wouldn't move. But I understood that. And so at that moment, you have to understand people for who they are when they know who they are.
And that is a perfect analogy situation that
Yeah.
you're saying, because everybody don't want to shift. And everybody is okay with where they're at.
And that's my point.
And yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
And that was the lesson I think I learned about 2 years ago. I can't want more for what somebody else wants, but I have for so long, because you're like, oh no, let me help you lay your stuff out. But then you go, I just wasted so much time that I cannot get back.
Yeah.
And they didn't carry the weight. I wanted to do it more for them.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
yes.
And it's always more for them. It's like, I see that in you, but they have to want that. You can't want that. And that's something that I learned on this journey, because for me, I'm going to get a doctor's degree. Here's the funny part. I get the master's. I wait 13 years.
Right.
And then I say, after I spend my year having a great time, then I spent some more time. I dipped in and out after that. I always make a deal with myself. And this is what it is. And that's why you still see me on this fitness journey, because I believe something different.
Right.
And I'm going to stay on this journey.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle for me at this point. But when I told myself, if you get into a doctorate's program, you got to finish it. It ain't no starting and no stopping and no, I can't do it. You got to finish it. And I kept saying, well, I'm not going. I'm talking to myself, because, one sitting over here, somebody sitting over here, and I'm going, well, I ain't starting until if I know I can finish it. Right now, I'm on my way to this next trip. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm telling myself. And finally, I started looking at schools. I'm going to tell you how God works. I started looking at schools. I entertained a few of them. I want to say quite a few. And they, join our orientation, and I'm like, okay, it's a virtual orientation. I'm going, okay, I can do that. I signed in, listen to it. Okay, I'll think about it. Advisors calling. I'm getting calls from everywhere. And then Pepperdine. I'm talking to my sister. I say, yeah, I'm thinking about doing it, this and that. So Pepperdine, I put in my little information. They responded. And I was like, okay. Blew them off for 6 months, right?
Wow.
They come back. And they say, we're having a open house. You can come down and you can take a tour of the school and this and that. And I'm going, here we go again on that Wednesday night doing nothing. I'm going, okay, I can go. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to have some free snacks. I'm going to give me some. That's what's on my mind. That's what's clearly on my mind. It's like, I'm going to get me some free snacks when I go there. I said, I know they're going to have a good spread, because this is Pepperdine.
This is Pepperdine.
This is one of the top 50 in the nation.
Right.
Yes, this is Pepperdine, so I know they're going to have a spread. I said, I'll go. So I go to the orientation, and I get in there, and it is a jam-packed room, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking around. I'm spotting the people that look like me.
Right.
I want to see it. Ain't that many of us, but we in there. It's not that many, but I'm making eye contact with the ones I see, and I'm going, okay, just let you know we here. Listen, so we
I
listen.
see you.
Yeah, we talk. We go on for the night.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's interesting. So we come back into we in this room, and they tell, okay, everyone, the goodies are here, the snacks are here. We're gonna have them in the next room, but before we go into the next room, let's pray. Okay.
Because it's a Christian school.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, and I'm laughing. So I chuckled to myself. I said, God, you work.
God, you playing.
You playing. I said, you knew this was a praying school. So you made me come up here. You still working with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going, you still working with your girl. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So we start praying. I'm going, okay. We leave. They give us a little binder for the night, a little pamphlet, all the fees and all that and what the program offers and all this good stuff. Anyway, we move on from there. I get home and I'm telling my sister, I'm like, yeah, we just left orientation, at Pepperdine, and this is what they said and blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm thinking about it. I said, I don't know. I said, it's kind of pricey though. I said, but let me pray on it. So I prayed on it a couple of days. All of a sudden I get an email. And the email comes from, you've been gifted the gift of a scholarship.
Wow.
My sister sent me a gift of a scholarship. So I didn't know that if you were a graduate in one of their programs in a master's level, that you have a gift that they give you to give to someone else.
Wow.
And you only get one. So she gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
So when I got that email, and I'm like,
girl, where you get this money from? What's going on?
yeah, so I said, okay. So I responded, I says, did you send me a scholarship? She said, yep, I did. And then she started laughing. I said, oh, okay, what that mean? She said, put your money where your mouth is. I said, oh.
Okay.
In my heart, I knew I couldn't let my sister down.
Absolutely.
I knew
little
that.
sister,
My
by
little
the way.
sister, the youngest of the crew. I knew that at that point. I said, okay, you got to finish this. Regardless of what happens on this journey, you have to finish it. And let me tell you something. Everything that you can possibly imagine happened on this journey.
It do.
When I
It
say
don't make it
happened on
easy.
this journey was not easy. And I look back, even from the EDD to the PhD, and this 8-year window, I lost about 9 people who are no longer living on this journey.
Right.
And I couldn't believe, and some of them were very piercing to my heart, even though all life is important, but some just pierced my soul,
Because you were very close to
very vested in these people,
And you were like,
and they just started happening, and I'm going, okay, how are you supposed to manage this when your emotions are all over the place? But I really didn't know what I was getting into. I really thought when I walked into this door of this doctoral journey, that it was going to be like any other one of my degrees.
Right.
Sit there, study, listen to lectures, write a couple
take
papers.
These tests, write these papers.
I had no idea that this doctorate was a service degree. And it was a service is where you give back. Because there's nothing that says for me to be anything that I want whether it's corporate America or my own entrepreneurship journey, you know what I'm saying? Nothing says that I need this doctor's degree. Nothing.
Right.
It's something that you want to
it's
change
personal.
To why you got it.
Right.
Because for me, I kept saying, what is it? It's a topic. I kept seeing things. I knew I grew up in an underrepresented community. I knew that I went to a high school that had a limited amount of resources when it came to educational purposes. I knew what our extracurriculars were when they start closing out certain components of the school that gave us after school activities. I saw that. But at that time when I was living as a young, I didn't understand it.
Right.
It wasn't until I started this journey that it really became clear. And I kept saying, things change. Things change. One question that I often get a lot is, how did you get to? Let's be clear, none of them were easy. None of them.
Well, it took 8 years, so you got 2.
8,
yes.
8 and no sleep. So when I say no sleep, you could call me at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I can tell you I'm writing. I'm typing.
Right.
I am up. When I say wired, I think I can sleep 2.5 hours regardless to what happens. You have to know when I made an agreement with myself, I knew I was all in at that point. I filled it out. I filled out my application. I got accepted. I had to write letters. I didn't even know you had to write a whole bio about yourself to even get into the doctoral program. You had to talk about yourself. So here I am. And at that point, this is where imposter syndrome gets real. Because now you're asking me to write about me. And I'm going, okay, you want me to write about myself? Okay, I can do that. I can write about myself. And then you start writing who you are. Here was an interesting thing. I never wrote who I was. I wrote where I came from. And I didn't know the difference between the two until the question was posed openly in a room full of about 80 people. And the question was, who are you, LaSchanda, and why are you here? Oh.
So you started talking about
So I started talking about, okay, well, hey, I'm LaSchanda Johnson. I'm graduating from Christian High School, went to Southern University, HBCU. I'm excited, grew up in a single parent household. I'm giving my spiel. I give the whole spiel for this person, this instructor, to say to me in front of all these people, okay, well, you told me what you do. I know that you went to HBCU. You love your school. I know you married. I know you got a son. But you didn't tell me who you are. Who are you? That's a hard question for people to answer when you ask that question. And sometimes they say to you, oh, you being funny. No, I'm being for real. Because in that moment, you're going to tell me, oh, I do this. I got to pop in this hair shop, nail shop, this and that. I drive this car. I work for this. My job title is this. You told me all of that. But if I stripped all of that from you, who are you? Who are you? And when she asked me that question, she says, who are you? I said, I'm just a girl from the neighborhood trying to make a way for the people that look like me. She said, keep talking. She says, keep talking. She said, tell them who you are. I started telling the story of who I am.
Right.
And this is what. So my journey started out on this doctoral journey was really about my hair. I always wear my hair braided.
Yeah.
Always have braids. And sometimes you see it's red. It's always red. Sometimes it's twisted. Sometimes it's cornrow. Sometimes it's individual. Sometimes it's big and full. It just depends. My hair was always a topic in the organizations that I worked in. So when you step into this journey, the first thing they say to you, start thinking about what you want to write about, what you want to research. I wanted to research hair. I said, okay, I'm going to do hair. Finally made it through all my coursework. I get to the point where we get to talk about what you've been thinking about over the course of the last 4 years. What you're going to talk about, what areas you're going to research and all this. And I'm going, oh, okay, I'm talking about hair. It wasn't until my committee sat in front of me. And there was a guy on my committee. My committee was 3 women and 1 guy. And none of them looked like me. None of them.
Of course.
Okay. It was 2 white women, 1 Hispanic, and 1, I believe he's either Persian.
Okay.
I think he's Persian or Armenian.
Okay.
Okay. And so I said, he said, you think it's about your hair? And I said, yeah. Because in my world, what they were saying to me was, oh, this is pretty. Can I touch your hair? Your hair is so full. Is that a weave? Do you have, they started saying those things to me. So I'm going, no. And at the time, my hair was a lot longer than this. It was a lot longer, a lot fuller, And so I'm like, okay.
Your hair been in your waist for years.
Yes. And so I'm like, why are they asking? It's always on my hair. And so then they start telling me, well, LaSchanda, if you want to really move up, you're progressing at this level, but if you really want to move up, then you have to drop the braids and you have to drop this. And I'm, in my mind, being authentic to who I am, I'm like, I ain't dropping nothing.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And I believe I'm gonna get there with these cornrows. I'm telling you that. I'm not changing that.
Right.
And so I'm like, you want me to be something that, no, I don't wear my hair straight all the time. I'm not doing that. I said, you're going to catch this ponytail with these slick edges, that's what you're going to get. But I'm not coming in here all decorated so I can blend and make you comfortable. I'm not doing that.
And make me uncomfortable.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it was. So I kept saying, that's not happening for me. Lo and behold, we get there. He says, it's really about your hair. And I'm telling him, yeah, about my world. I give the same scenario I give you. He says, go back and do a little bit more digging because it's deeper than that. So I go back, I start digging, I'm digging, and I find them, and I start reading, I'm going, wait a minute. The hair was a part of the stereotype. It wasn't really the hair. It was the fact that it was the intersection. Wait, hold on. I'm black and I'm a female. Wait, my race and gender is intersecting. Wait, hold on for a minute. I started digging. I'm going, in my mind, I ain't never read this much in my life. I'm looking at 40 books. I got pages. You want me to read this article, that article you want me to have. And I'm going, okay, this is crazy. But then I started to feed for it. I wanted more. I wanted to know more.
Right.
I became really invested when I realized there were 40-year gap in research when they did talk about Black women.
Wow.
It was 40 years. So when I'm digging and I'm looking and I want to know about my hair and it's showing up as a stereotype and it keeps showing up, it was 40 years where I didn't see anything. So I come back to my committee. And at that point, I'm in my feelings because I called my mama. And I'm going, wait a minute. They're not talking about us. It's for 40 years. Nobody speaks about Black women. And here part. In higher education. So everybody asks me, LaSchanda, why do you stick to higher education? I said, because before I can get to organizational leadership, you got to get educated first. Before I can even get over it, you got to have somebody that looks like you for you can even aspire to want to be that.
Right.
I said, this is where it is.
So, okay, I do. So one of the questions I'll ask, which is crazy, well, one of the statements I'm first going to say, I just found out that women couldn't even have a bank account without their husband being on it until I think the late 60s, early 70s.
I was going to say.
19, yeah, I mean, which is their own checking account.
No, not only their own checking account, their own credit card too.
Right.
It was like 1980 something or
Right,
something
well,
like
that's
something
late,
later or something like. Because when I'm looking at them,
which is crazy.
Well, hear about this.
Because that would be our parents who were single parents.
In order to buy a house, you had to have a man
yes.
on the house, but you couldn't just buy one. See, and here's the thing. I think it just marked 50 or 60 years for women. I mean, think about where we are.
Right, which is scary because right before we were born is when this pretty much happened. So now let's have that. Okay, so now, because we talked about, you pivoted to the organizational leadership. So now as an internal auditor
right.
for one of the largest community college organization.
Right.
Like, where do you see that you have gained insight for organizational leadership? Mm-hmm. Like, do you see that there? Or is it still a work in progress? And it can just be very simple because we're going to still shift. But as far as like, do you see Black women roles in that place? Or in that positions, I should say?
I interact with a lot of senior level administrators.
Right.
In our educational system. I do work for the largest in the United States. And I've seen these women, and this is what's interesting that you asked that question. These women became my why to what I wrote. They became my research study.
Okay.
Remember, it was about my hair.
Absolutely, I understand. That's
so
what
it
made
changed.
me, yes.
So as when they said go back and look, I started looking at the intersection of race and gender.
Because it's about Black women, but it's also about women.
And that's what was interesting. It was about women. So first I looked at it and says, let's see how women are navigating this space.
Right.
So I realized that if you want to break it down by race, you saw that white women were having an advantage in these spaces. Whereas the Black woman, because they always say, well, LaSchanda, there's women of color and there's women of, no, when you say white women and women of color, I said, no, I say white women, women of color, and Black women.
Absolutely.
That's what I said. I said, let's be clear. I don't make that distinction. I'm very clear about who I'm speaking about. So my writing is geared for, don't get me wrong, women, but I specifically have an audience and I target Black women. Why? Because I am a Black woman.
Correct.
And so me sitting in the senior internal auditor role, looking and interacting with a lot of these VPs at the level, even presidencies, even, these amazing individuals, I want to know how they got there.
Right. And
I wanted to know their stories because I interacted with them, not just on, hey, LaSchanda, I'm here to look at your campus. It's, can you, do you think you have insight on this, this, and this? We became conversations. So when I saw them, I sought them out because I saw them. So I knew that they were able to advance to that level. My question was, how did you get there? Because keep in mind, I'm doing a literature review. And according to literature, they didn't want you there. But I do know historically that we have women that have pivoted this system and they've made it. The problem that I'm not seeing in research is the roadmap to tell those that are aspiring how to get there. I don't see that. So if someone is coming up this pipeline and they want to be a dean, a deputy chancellor, a superintendent, a vice president, institutional effectiveness, or a president, do you see them? Here's the problem. There's nothing written for the woman that looks like me. We just started getting more literature as we started entering into the college because we wanted to write. So as we start entering into these doctoral journeys, you will see a lot of studies now that are showing up about writing about Black women in privately white institutions, Black women at HBCUs, Black women at community colleges. And so they're targeted. Black women strictly at four-year universities. Pay attention to the target. So my writing started out with community colleges. I wanted to know the challenges and the best practices that they face advancing to leadership roles, because I saw them advance, but I also saw them demoted. And I also saw them paraded through there. And that gave me more fire to write more and compelled to tell our story even further. Because what I witnessed as having leadership, I said, that's not how we do business. I said, so you will continue to humiliate us. First of all, you give us these titles. Mm-hmm. Okay. They hire women on the glass cliff. Okay. The glass cliff is when you already know that this place is tanking. Mm-hmm. And we're going to hire this woman. And we're going to put her in this seat. And we're going to see if she can fix it. Well, this is upside down. There's so many schools that are like that. There's so many higher education institutions that are like that. So we're going to hire this woman. We're going to hire this black woman. Because she wanted this role. And this is a true story. She was an associate vice president, becomes a VP. When she got the job, they had no executives. Nobody. They had no deans. They had no VPs on her level. So at this point, if she's over the financing of the school, how was she supposed to function? She can't function. So here we are in this role. She doesn't have anyone. Right. There was no VP of academic affairs. There was no VP of institutional effectiveness. There were none. This school was pretty much gutted. And here we are. She gets hired. And she calls me and she's excited. I know what's wrong with the school. She doesn't know what's wrong with the school. She's excited. And I'm cheering for her. I'm like, good luck, and I'm going, good luck over there. Because as an auditor, we stay independent. My opinion is independent. So she's like, this is, so what I did say is, I'm going to give you all your audit reports.
So you can see. You
need to see them and look to see what's going on. But if I was you, I will focus in this area based on the reports. Mm-hmm. She says, LaSchanda, I will. She was so excited. She lasts 6 months. 6 months. They wanted her to create these miracles. And I knew that this wouldn't happen for her because she had no support staff, no system. And she started learning the department. She says, these people have titles, but they don't really do that role. I says, welcome to your college. And she says, oh, wow, she had no clue. Keep in mind, they give her 6 months, they demote her. They demote her and bring her back to the big headquarters. They bring her back to the big headquarters, and then they set her off at a back office by herself, and then tells people on that floor not to talk to her. That even added more fuel to my research study. Because now at this point, I'm going, let me find out. As I started going through research and reading, they have names that go with this. They fall into these categories. And I kept saying, this is really happening. And so the reason why we call it the glass cliff, because eventually you're not going to succeed. This is going to shatter. You will fall off of this cliff. Then they hire, according to research, it's called the Great Savior Theory, where they hire a male. And he comes in and saves the day.
After everyone done the major work.
Wait, he comes in to save the day. But when he comes in, keep in mind, he's walking in still to the same shell she walked into. Right. But the only thing that's different, he gets an executive team. He gets everything that she actually asked for and documented and put in writing to get was denied. But when he's hired, he got it.
Was he a non-black male?
He was a black male.
Okay, because has to do with it. Does sometimes it's not the race; it is the gender.
It's the gender. And that's what was interesting.
Yes.
So I wanted to see. I said, I'm going to watch. Keep in mind, there was one of schools on my radar that I watched. Right. So I said, let me pay attention. And they gave him the tools. They gave him, and the funny part is, he's very still thriving at that campus. This woman has since retired and moved on.
So listen to this, because this was part of your research, and I really wish I would have known. I don't know if you realize this, but the first black woman of a chancellor of a university was at Southern University, which was Dolores T. Spikes, Dr. Dolores T. Spikes, and I don't think you knew this. And she was there while we were there. Okay. But you were partying, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I was. But I worked for her directly. Right, so I worked in the chancellor's office, so I had an opportunity to definitely have relationships with her. She recently passed not too long ago. But she was the first ever to be over in the largest, because Southern University has 3 different universities, schools, so largest system. But she was the first woman, which was to be a chancellor over the largest system, I would say. And president, you're looking at, and it's crazy. I really wish you would have known that, because that you could have picked, because there hasn't been another woman since her when they.
So pay. I was going to say, all you got to do is pay attention to the trends.
Well, no, I believe I thought she was great. I didn't. We were in college, so I didn't dig deep into her, and I worked with her personally. I was like an assistant. It was a work study job that I ended up being blessed to like deal with her regularly and have a relationship with her, which I thought was so dope. Later, not in the beginning. Right. Because I'm a college kid. I'm like, okay, what do you need?
You're still learning you. Right.
But I will say that I've watched and I noticed it was times, because I was sitting in some of the meetings, because I was technically her assistant.
Right.
And there were times that I felt like at 19 years old, like, they didn't give her, I don't feel like they gave her enough stuff to go and do what they want her to do. Like, she didn't have enough tools.
Yeah.
So.
They don't give you tools.
No, they don't.
There's
but
no
I'm saying, this is way
she's
before.
She's usually the first and only one. She's the only one. Who else is she going to talk to? And that's, how that happens across industries. Not just in a higher education system. You know how many organizations has
everywhere.
One and few who will say, they feel isolated. Yes, these are challenges. These are real deal. Let me tell you something. I interviewed 15 women across the globe. None of these women knew each other. None of them. And when I say they all had the same story, they all had the same story. They were asked 12 interview questions, all 12, and they all said the same thing, and none of them knew each other. And when I say none of them.
But look at what's going on right now.
I wasn't
if you think about it, I definitely wasn't surprised.
So let me tell you why. My first study was about the challenges and the best practices. They told me what the challenges were. Mm-hmm. Okay, one of the biggest detrimental to black women is conformity, and that is code switching.
Yes.
Because then they cannot be authentically who they are.
Right.
That is the huge detriment to, because then I can't be me.
Right.
And if I can't be me, then I have to pretend. And the only way they can get to a certain level is it when they pretend, and that's why the stress level is so high. And so that's why self-care is important. And you see so many of us in the gym trying to knock it out. So many of us taking walks. So many in yoga. So it's because we want this space, but we really can't say what we want to say. Because if we are in a leadership role and we say what we want to say, then we're called aggressive. We're called bossy. We're called rude. We're called over the top. But a man can take that same conversation and have the same tone. And it's right on.
Or a non-black woman can have that same conversation.
And that's a fact.
And the same tone.
Yes. And she's compassionate about that.
And she's compassionate about it.
But we're hostile.
And aggressive.
Yes.
And that's definitely not the case.
And that's never the case.
And I built my company deliberately. It's not, I don't have all black women, but women.
For women, exactly.
I built it for women to have a voice, to be able to. And I have some males who do work for me.
Right.
But owning a home care business, you got to be compassionate. And I think for me, when I look at, and it's funny you're saying this because I'm going to tie this into the election.
Wow.
Women are good enough to run households, are good enough to have your children.
Leadership.
Are good enough to do all the leadership. We hold the most degrees.
That's a leader. We're still leading.
Everything leading. Hold on. We're always the first of something in so many of CEOs, different positions, but none of the country. Now let's go into the black, because the vice president part, you're kind of appointed. They pick them.
Right.
So you're going to win by default.
Right.
If they like the president candidate.
Like a package.
We go together. However.
Real bad.
I was about to hit you with the real bad, so you picked up what I was going to say. However, there was no way that this same country felt comfortable to trust, because I don't think it had to necessarily do with her. It had to do, let me take that back. 2 reasons. One, I'm going to stand on as a woman. Then I'm going to go as this black woman.
Exactly. That's
because you had too many women who voted for what their husband said because they were stay-at-home moms.
Drink to that one.
And we are going to drink to that. So there we go.
Yeah.
Because that was serious. But you allow a male to tell you about your whole uterus, that you are pushing kids out, but that your male should support you about your female rights, your women rights, from voting. That's civil rights as a black woman, but as a non-black woman, your female parts.
Right.
So you're going to tell me to do with my whole uterus. So you're going to tell me that this non-black man who is married to a non-black woman, and she gets raped, and she cannot have an abortion, and this non-black man is going to support this non-black woman and still stand with her, you a liar. If she's forced to have this kid. And when you go vote, last time I checked,
right,
it's private. So you didn't even stand up for women's rights because you knew in your heart what your non-black, and even black, your non-woman person, which would be your male husband, stated to you that it was okay to vote for somebody and disregard whatever policies and procedures that a person who already showed us what we are. And let me tell you, because my money Republican, but my heart is Democratic because I'm in the community.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be okay either way.
Right.
But when we're standing on what's truly going on, how do you not trust a woman to run this country? And I'm going to remove Kamala. And the reason I'm going to VP Kamala, the reason I'm going to remove her, she didn't have enough time to campaign. But Hillary, who was very skillful, who was a white woman, who was very together, and they chose not to stand with her because we are in a country who just doesn't think women are capable to run it, but we're capable to run every household in America.
I'm going to tell you what my professor said to me. And I heard everything you said. And I'm saying that to say, he said to me, LaSchanda, no one's sitting in the room saying, let's hire a woman.
And that's why I brought you
here today. And that came from a white male.
Absolutely.
And that probably was the most realest thing that I've heard one of them say. And he says, so you write to change that. You develop the research and you show the facts behind it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I stand in this space. So when I write, yes, I write for women. However, when I realized that there was a 40-year gap, and they came from not talking about black women who have advanced to leadership roles in different organizations. We're going to talk about IBM. We want to talk about Walgreens. We have roles to the level of CEO level. We have roles to the level of presidency and vice presidents. However, how did they get there? So it's other aspiring black women and women that are looking forward to the tools and the skills. How did you get there? So it was important for me in my first study to document the challenges. So when you saw them, or barriers if you want to call them, when you saw them, you understood what they were. You put names to them. So you no longer feel like, wait a minute, that's a barrier. But what was a success strategy that they used to navigate this space? Right. And that's what's important. So you need to understand that. Look at company policies. Look at organizations. Make sure they're inclusive. Do they have professional development programs? Do you understand the career path that you choosing? Make sure it aligns with the progression ladder for you to get to the next title, if that's what you're looking for. Yes. So it depends. You have to learn it, but there's nothing written. There's no mentorship manuals. You don't have mentors. If there's no one sitting there, if there's no one else running ultra care service like this, and no one else that looks like them seeing you, who are they aspiring to be?
You're right.
You don't see anybody. Only person I see that owns healthcare, are these white guys or these white girls.
Yeah.
So
Or it's
I didn't pursue it because I didn't see. Do you know how many people are visual?
The same with pharmaceutical sales off the bat.
Yeah.
It was unheard of in 1996 that I'm coming out of college from an HBCU.
Yeah.
And I step in the room. And yes, my mother was in pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah.
However, that's how I knew about pharmaceutical sales. My mother did not get me in pharmaceutical sales.
But here's the thing.
I looked through LA Times.
And you got in. But here's the funny part. Now when you walk through the door, you walk through as a black female selling pharmaceutical drugs. Hold on.
To top doctors.
To top doctors. And you show up and you go, Now you're struggling. Are they suffering from colorism? Because I'm a little bit darker than the other hues that came through here.
Yes.
So these are things that happen that when I interviewed these women, you'd be surprised how many have reached that top level. My study only dealt with anybody that held a title of director or higher.
Right.
What was interestingly, I got VPs. I got presidents. I had superintendents. 7 of them. I had looked at VPs of technology who you don't see black women running. VPs of academic affairs who they keep black women in student services.
Right.
The majority of, pay attention to the student services at all the campuses. They're loaded with women. Because that used to be dean of women. See, dean of student services used to be women services because women had entered into the workforce and the college, they got a chance to go to college. They wasn't allowed to. So they didn't know how to handle the woman.
Right.
Okay, so they had a dean of women. The dean of women is dean of student services. What you see so that's why you see now all of these student services, they're flooded with women. All your and that's at the community college level. Pay attention. All your service programs, your specially funded, your extended opportunity services, all of them are flooded with women that are running them. I didn't understand why. History. It's research. This historically, all of this stuff adds up. So now at this point, I'm not surprised by some of the stuff I see. I'm not I'm going, oh, okay. Like I ran across that in my study. So now I'm more aware of when I see it, so I know how to use my language. So my goal is to teach other women how to do that. Step into who you are. It's okay for you to be unapologetically you. That is okay. It's okay for us to step into our truth. But we have been told so long, well, I don't know. I don't have the skills. Well, they say the qualifications. Fill it out. Let them tell you no.
And I'm going to be honest, I didn't experience racism in corporate America. I actually experienced it. And sometimes people are like, you don't think you were the token. I was like, no, I mailed in my resume. And then they mailed me back. This is how long ago, okay?
Right.
This is not the email type of thing. Seriously. You find it, LA Times, look up professional sales. You just send out a gang of resumes. Then you get these calls. I had like 8 calls for pharmaceutical sales. I didn't know the company. It just said professional sales. That was the title.
They probably called you token because you was the only one.
I was, but I was smarter than all of them, and they always came to me. They utilized me and they promoted me. So my situation was a little different, and I was content. But I did experience racism in this world of owning a franchise at the time.
Absolutely.
Because I was the only black at the time of the company of owning a franchise. And I went through so much. They did not give me one client in all 10 years, but they collected all their money from me every month very faithfully.
Oh, yeah.
So then I just stopped. No, I'm not getting any new clients. Why would I keep giving you money when you never gave me one?
Yeah.
And I own a whole company that's based out of Beverly Hills.
And your counterparts are probably getting fed clients. Loaded with clients.
Absolutely. In Southern California. It was 2 of them that was the top franchise owners, and I'm doing both. I'm in pharmaceuticals, so for 10 years I did both. So I'm sitting here like, I'm already in this industry. I can bring a gang. I'm not gonna bring you no more money.
Right.
So this is my now side hustle. This is now my side money. Travel money. Because I'm making good 6 figures in this pharmaceutical side, and they loving me and I'm doing well. And I don't see you but once a month, every 2 months, whatever. So it worked for me. But what I did realize was, as I started observing people, and I was like, this is some racism. I didn't experience it with me. And I was very blessed. My journey in this, because everybody I know who was, you were the token when you walked in the room. nobody wanted to, no one touched my hair. I didn't go through those things. But a lot of people have. But I also think they probably was like, oh, she real serious about shit. and I may windmill
confidence you. I was going to say, confidence speaks volumes.
Yes. And so every time I was on those panels, Leslie, what are you doing? Because we want to do what you're doing.
Because you could have automatically, sometimes your presence just, being so strong and being confident in who you are, you can just step into the room and it's an automatic intimidation factor.
Absolutely.
It clearly is not that you're sitting there saying, oh, you're better than anyone. It's just that I own this room just like all of you guys should own it.
I belong here.
Yeah. Any room that you walk into, you belong there. You should operate like you belong there. Own the space that you walk into. I don't care. At the bakery. Own that bakery like you made them cupcakes in there.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Because if you don't, they smell weakness and it's coming. And at the time, I just think because coming from Long Beach Poly, yes, Poly is in the hood, but Poly was predominantly white growing up. And my junior high was predominantly white. Right. So I had some great white friends. Even now, from Facebook, I laugh. I go, wait, you was Jewish this whole time? How come you never told us? That's why I couldn't spend a night on Saturdays. That's why I couldn't do. I had no clue. And they were my real friends. Right. They were like, because they were taught not to speak about it because of the racism that was against them. Right. I just didn't. Now I understand because I have tons of friends that's Jewish and clients and things. But at the time, no. And I'm like, oh my God, I was like, I go to temples, I do Shabbat dinner, like I do things with some of my Jewish friends. I'm like, you gotta like call me over, and we laugh about it. Yeah. But the reality was there was no way that, and I'm like, and then I said, I feel some kind of way. Why you ain't telling me? They was like, no, we couldn't. They were taught in their household not to speak on it.
Because it's for their safety. Their kids, they're young. They're at school, they're interacting. And if it was a climate like it is today, just only imagine.
That's what I'm saying. Because I feel like when Trump became in office that first time, racism became really disrespectfully
open.
It
was always there.
But in California.
Yeah, it was
Southern California.
Yeah, it was there.
Right. And I'm like,
is how it came about. Now they're a little bit bolder, but California's still a blue state, so regardless
absolutely.
So what happens,
so we don't care. So that's the thing. But I will say that I was disappointed in some people. I'm like, you've been feeling like that a long time. Okay. Thank you.
It just made it's funny because comfortable. It's more comfortable, and for them, for me, I'm not surprised. You've always had it in you. And now you want me to respond. The only thing that you need to understand is I'm not my grandmother, okay? So that's what you need to understand. So before you get too slick, you need to understand that we are not our ancestors.
And for the record, you don't even want to be my grandmother, because my grandmother's a real live Medea. Shout out to my grandma Pearl, rest in peace. But baby, she was no joke. We go to his place and she was like, I swear to God, somebody done gave him my story. Those plays was so my grandma Pearl, like it was scary. My mom's mom, like it was definitely scary.
Because she really exists. But absolutely, was a real life grandma.
But like you're saying, yeah, she was. But it's like but it was some of the scenes that happened, like not a some, it was a lot. It was, but yes, but so even with that, but so I think I think one of the things that I would like to ask you, with your research in women's leadership, like what success strategies have you found as far as this, like most compelling to you?
Most compelling to me would be you need mentorship.
Okay.
You need sponsorship. You need people to speak up for you when you're not in those rooms. You need that. You need to be recommended. You need to say, hey, I think that person can do this. And your mentor doesn't have to look like you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's one thing that's important. My mentors, a lot of them, they don't look like me.
Well, they don't have to be in the same industry.
And they don't have to be, not at all.
They don't.
And it's who you are comfortable with working with and think that you can learn from. It's not that. For me, I work with a lot of senior executive Black women. And a lot of them, they offer my mentorship to me through different avenues. And I use them for that. And I have other mentors I use for other things. One thing I do like about my sisters is that they offer the sponsorship.
Right.
I get those text messages. Hey, I just dropped your name in this bucket. You should go for it. And I'm going, why would you do that? They was like, because I think you can do it. And that goes with us talking about, we talked about earlier, seeing things in you that you don't see in yourself.
Yes.
That's why I put your name in that hat. Even right now, I just got an email last week that says, hey, you need to add a chapter to this book. They're talking about women navigating fire spaces in research. And I'm going, this is your area of research. Let's go. So I'm going, okay, what I do, even though I was a day behind, I submitted the proposal anyway. They just responded today and says, oh my God, LaSchanda, thanks for submitting. We're definitely going to read it. We don't have a problem. Those things you need, mentorship and sponsorship. But if you want to sit at a space, professional development and career advancement, you need to understand the tools that are needed. What do I need? Ask the question. You can sit into a room. Have you ever sat in a room and they say, any questions? And nobody says nothing.
Every day.
And then all of a sudden somebody says, well, I got a question. And I go, let me tell you something. It could be 20 people in that room. 5 of them got the same question you got. Ask the question. Ask the question. It's no question is a dumb question. You have to know that. And it's okay for you. I tell the students that I encounter, everybody on this journey, everybody on a journey of growth, it is okay to say you don't know.
Right.
Say I don't know. That's fine with you. You don't have to always put on the strong, I got it. No, it doesn't work that way. It's being vulnerable in certain spaces that you wouldn't allow yourself to be vulnerable in. And that's where the growth happens. When you are comfortable, some people have reached their level of comfort, and that's where they want to stay, which is fine. But if you have aspirations and desires to want more, then you're going to have to do something different, because those same tricks are not going to open up the door. They asked me, how did you get to on this journey? I get that question all the time. I get it. When I say often, I always say, what you willing to give up? And they look at me and go, what's that mean?
And what you just said, I mean, like, we've all kind of stepped off.
Yeah.
We disappear.
Yeah, we do. You have
to. And
we
pop back in. And what you just said, I mean, it just actually motivated me, because I've been sitting on something for a long time. And it's trademarked, it's everything, and it's called Empires Elevating. And it's just helping people elevate to that next level, to where do they go, and creating like a business bestie system, and connecting them. Because you need that. Like, you
need that.
I have people that I can call, and they're not in the same industry as me.
And they don't have to be.
No, that's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it.
And then you can call them and have those conversations.
Yes.
And they're like, well, what exactly are you trying to do? Because I struggle with having an assistant. Because I want the assistant to be me, and that's just not realistic. But maybe it's going to happen soon, since AI is coming into place, and I can get that.
Yeah, okay, so we both struggle from that. It's called, so what we need to do is, and I tell people this, you need to build a wealth team. And I call it a wealth team. Those are teams that are strong in areas that you're not strong in. And that's their expertise.
I love that.
And you have to hire that, because that is what makes you successful. Is your assistant going to operate and think like you? Absolutely not. And you truly don't want that, honestly. Because
you are correct.
Because when you look at it, it's going to be like, wait, huh? No, I don't want that. You really, at this point, you want somebody that says, listen, I'm good at doing A, B, and C, but I have struggle in this. You, my A, B, and C might be at the top of your list.
Absolutely.
And you can build D and E up. Do you see what I'm saying?
So that's where I can keep doing D and E.
Or you can.
No, I'm just saying, if you can give me A, B, C.
But listen, we work smart, not hard.
So I say that all the time.
So you have to. I had to be honest with myself. Step back, because even when I deal with editors, and I'm writing, and I'm adding to the body of research. So I'm committed. That's what I've committed myself to add to the body of research. So anybody I encounter, I learn something from. I don't take that. I go, they don't think they meant it like that. The old me, they meant it like that. No, this one says, wait, step back and listen to what they're saying before you respond.
Right.
Because you're responding and you haven't heard. What you find to be interesting is you have to know where your strength is. Even when I deal with my learning academy, I know it's certain things that I can't say. So I have someone that speaks, that does that for me. Right. And she's well. I know and I always call her, she laughs. I says, I know who my go-to, my smoocher is, who is going to get the deal for me. I know who she is because of how we operate together, but it's just her personality. I was like, go ahead and seal the deal. She was like, I got it. She like,
Okay.
you step back, don't answer.
And I got
Let me
this.
handle this. And sure enough, it happens all the time. So I had to get out my own way. And you have to sometimes take a step back. Even when I play with, and I told you I play with artificial intelligence a lot.
Right.
Even when I play with that, learning, helping people to understand it, because there's so many people who don't know how to use it. It ain't going nowhere. So either you learn how to use this tool and you learn how to create and build your craft and your niche with it.
Chapter.
Hey, little robot, I'm going to tell you right now, they need to get with it or come take my course. Because at the end of the day, this is where it is. You're not losing your jobs to AI. You're not. You're losing your jobs to the people who know how to use AI. So that's what you're losing your jobs to.
Yeah. Y'all heard that.
Yeah.
So, one last question, because I had two, but you just gave something that says, what advice would you give to young professionals, especially Black women, and looking to advance in their career? So you already said mentorship and all that. So those two questions were tied in, but I would like to ask you, how do you see the intersection of professional development as far as like career advancement and higher education evolving? That's what we're going to close out on. Like, where do you see that for our future evolving for Black women?
For me personally, my goal is to continue to add to the body of research so we'll have those tools. I see there are more and more Black scholars that are coming out.
Absolutely.
And they are writing about it. They are talking about it. They are performing research. My goal is to continue to build pathways. I created a theoretical framework called the Glowbox model. And this model is strictly designed for women who are aspiring and those who are already in roles. And what it does is the Glowbox model is built off of acronyms: guiding, optimizing, liberating, boldness, once again, organization, leadership. All of these things, this acronym is all the tools in which you need. So these are questions when you see the model. And the model would look at an organization, can take the same model and say, do our policies, are they guiding?
Okay.
Do they include? So I'm looking for women. And then as a woman, when you look at the word, you says Glowbox, you go guiding. Have I invested in myself to get to where I want to go? Liberating. Is it, so this model is designed for not only an organization, but for self. I see us, and these are those that are aspiring or those who already sit in higher leadership seats. I see them giving back.
Right.
The goal is for me, and the reason why my goal is to pay it forward because somebody paid it forward to me.
Absolutely. And life is service.
It is. It's service. And one thing, one question that I'll never forget, and I've done several studies and several focus groups, and I look at different theories. But what's interesting is one of my final questions on my interview was it worth it? And I will never forget what this VP said to me. And she said, LaSchanda, it was worth it. And I said, why? And here I am excited.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a fruitful conversation. And she said, because I wouldn't be talking to you. And that kind of pierced my soul a little bit. Because she said, this isn't about me. This is about you. She says, and so now your job is to pay it forward. So every room that I get a chance to step in, that's my goal, to pay it forward. We all have a past of where we've been. The goal is where we're going.
Absolutely.
So my goals are to align myself with the future me.
Right.
It's who I'm becoming. You know, I like the word change. It works for me and it works really well. And I like sitting in spaces of elevation, of areas where we have growth. I like those tough conversations. So yes, I look at a lot of theories that involve women. One of my big ones is Strong Black Woman's Collective Theory by Dr. Sade Davis, who talks about sister circles. And those are important, you know, that you need that strength around you. So when I look at those, and I was able to use that theory and do research on a focus group, you know, and when I did the focus group, it was so interesting. And I'm going to end with this. I reached out to, and it's a lot because when I work with the women that look like me, I always want to know why. Just because my goal is to seek to understand. It's not to condemn anybody. It's to understand so there we make better pathways for us all to be on. And it's not for us to sit there and say, you think you're better than everybody else, or you got these. No, it doesn't mean that. It means I've seen something that can open up a door for someone that looks like me.
Yes, but we have so many people who are so guarded.
Thank you.
And
those are traumas.
Those are traumas.
Those are traumas.
And it's not our trauma,
No.
but they deflect them onto us.
Right.
And then you don't want to help a person.
You don't.
And
it's hard.
But you need to help them, and I do.
And that's where it becomes, and that's where you get the tears from, because one of the things about my study, I had to separate myself because I am a black woman and I write about black women.
Right.
And sometimes in my area of research, it got kind of thick where I had to shut off my camera and we couldn't talk, and you was quiet and all you heard was sobs, because I know some of the stories, and we look at them, we're excited. Oh, my sister is the president, my cousin is a VP, my sister is COO, but you don't know the challenges they face to get there.
Right.
You don't, and they don't often tell you that story until you sit on one-on-one. They promised to me, they said to me, all 15 of them, the focus group I studied in that we talked about sister circles and sisterhoods. I says the different areas of research, the black women and theoretical frameworks that I wrote about and talked about, these women asked me not to leave it sitting on the shelf. They said, don't leave it here.
And it's important.
Talk about it.
Because
as I grow in my craft, that's what I want to do. So I wouldn't miss an opportunity for you to say, be on my podcast. I wouldn't do it better, nothing better than my HBCU sister, because it wouldn't feel organic if it was anywhere else. This is original, this is raw, and this is uncut. Yeah. If you know me, you don't get to see Shonda in this form. That's what you don't get to see. If you know me. But I've
seen it before, but I do know you, and you are correct. You're very guarded, you're very strong. Yeah. Because that's what's been taught to be.
Exactly. And so now, as I peel back those layers, you get to see the authenticity. Right. And so what I want you to understand is, in my words of Nikki Giovanni, may she rest in peace. A.K.A. Yolanda, that was her name. I'm a huge fan of the black woman.
Yes.
Okay. And I would never hesitate to refer her when things go wrong or when things go right.
Right.
And I stand on that. And that's a fact. So for me personally, I write for women, but I have a niche for black women. And that's who I am. And that's why I stand in that zone, because when I write, I'm listening to it. So am I my ancestors' wildest dreams? Absolutely. I'm going to penetrate every room I touch, every floor I step in. Is it going to be academically corrected the way you want me to say it? It might not be. Okay, I went to inner city schools, so you might get the rawness, or you might get mainstream American English. It depends on how I want to play that day.
That part.
But
you understand what I'm saying.
You're going to get authentic leadership.
Yes.
That's what you're going to get. And I'm not going to be a fluff, so you might get some cornrows, and they might be burgundy. And you might get some individuals, and they might be burgundy. And you might get a hoodie and a baseball hat, because that's just how I feel, because I left the gym that day. See, that's how it works for me. That's what you get. What
and
you
that's why I brought
you
you here, because so many people will be able to relate. Because you show up with who you are. Out of here is who you are in here.
Exactly.
And you show up and you don't pretend. And I want to thank you for your work. I want to thank you for coming. But before we end, we have what is called the rapid fire chat. One-liners, most inspiring leader. And it could be anyone.
Oh, most inspiring. Oh, Nikki Giovanni, absolutely. That's my girl.
Best career advice.
Best career advice. Stay true to you.
Dream research project.
Dream research project?
Yes.
I just want to get us all in one room and just hit it. Just throw one question on the board and say, why?
Okay.
Why? What our why is, you guys, I don't know, but I want us to know it's safe in this room.
Okay.
You know?
I love that. So that means you have to put an event together and do it.
Yes.
There you go.
I've been thinking about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
A book that changed your perspective.
Oh, wow. There's so many. There's so many. There's so many. Let me think. A book that changed my... Does it have to be an academic book? Or can
No, it could be anything.
I read this book like 7 times. Sister Soldier. The coldest winter ever.
I knew
I've
you was
read
gonna
that book
say
7, 8 times. When I say, and each time I read it, I got something different.
Okay.
And I know you guys sitting there like, she has 2 doctorates, and she said,
No.
Sister Soldier. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm a human, okay? and my educational level has nothing to do. Let me tell you something. Sister Soldier's my sister.
You're human, and you may twerk every now and then. That's just life.
Oh,
So there's
my leg ain't doing too
know,
well, so
right?
I don't get to move like that no more.
Well, you have in the past.
Yeah,
How
I
about
have,
that?
but you know what? It's so many books. It's
But you can use that.
It's a
Because
lot.
the Sister Soldier,
That's the
her
coldest winter
series,
ever.
yeah, the coldest winter. It's a good read.
It's a good. I read about 7 times, and when I say I recently read it again, and when I say each time is something different, and then I also what is it? The pedagogy of, I can't think of the whole name of it. It's about the school systems.
Okay, it's okay. Leadership trait you most admire. Someone's trait that you most admire.
A listener.
Okay. All right.
A listener, because if you listen,
You learn.
someone you listen to understand, not to reply. And you have some leaders that are not listeners, and they don't have that leadership trait. So it depends on your leadership style too. What's your style of leadership? And there's hundreds of styles.
Right.
And so you adapt them, and they might change depending on which environment you're in. Some are transformational, some are transactional. It just depends. Some are authentic, some are a dictatorship. It truly depends. But yeah,
That was a good one.
it depends.
That was something hard for me that I had to do.
As a leader, listen.
Yes, because in pharmaceutical sales, you're kind of individual.
Mm-hmm.
They give you the tools, you study them, and you put your own swag to them, and you do you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so even when I ran the company, I was hiring people I knew. When I bought the company, I was hiring people I knew. And some of them I knew was the biggest mistake.
I was just about to say that's a huge no.
Yeah, because they didn't want to accept my leadership, and now we arguing, and I'm like, okay, I can just fire you. I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
That's one of my things. I never hire friends.
Yeah, you know what? But I'm going to tell you something. I made a pact to never hire people I knew anymore too. However, I have some very strong people who I have hired, who have worked for me for some years, over 10 years. But it took a time we had to learn, I'm your boss. So this conversation is different. And then we can go and have some cocktails afterwards.
And that's going to be a different,
And that's a different thing because we had been friends for so long. And it was a journey. So, and because part of me was like, they not listening, and they probably felt like I wasn't listening either. Yeah. And I could receive that.
Yep.
But it took a while, so thank you for that last one.
And I say listening. It was the same thing with my director and myself.
Yeah.
We worked together. We got laid off together.
Right.
When he became the director, he called me.
Right.
And I said, okay. I says, it's the system. If I get on the list, I get on the list. I made it. I didn't know when I filled out my application, did my interview, I showed up in the top 3. That was just on the strength of me. He didn't even know, So then all of a sudden now we're here. Even though we go out and we get off work at 4 o'clock and we floating through, the city and we're cocktailing and we're doing this. When we get to work, that is my boss. I am his employee. And that's something that we both had to learn.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's hard.
It was hard for us. And granted,
because you don't want no one telling you anything. And so then I'm sitting here like, I'm not about to do this. So you are correct.
And we was together. Yeah, we was together till he passed away this year.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry for that loss.
Clearly miss him because...
Yeah, he was a mentor too.
He was a big time mentor. And so when I took that blow at the beginning of this year, and I knew I was graduating in May, I said, this is not how the story was supposed to in
He
for
was
us.
supposed to be there.
Yeah, and he says, because he said, I see you at the top. I said, there we go. And then he said, I see you at the top. So as soon as I left his department. And I said, what? He yelled down the hall. He said, I see you at the top. I said, there we go. I said, you already know. And so he started laughing. And then that was his hardest part, to tell me that he was sick. And, watch him go through,
Right.
his sickness for an entire year. It was a lot, but it also didn't realize how much I would miss him when he was gone. Even though we locked horns a lot.
And that's not even
it. It was.
You pick that phone up.
Yes.
And I think sometimes people don't grieve properly.
They don't,
because you're not allowed to.
Right.
Life still goes on.
Oh yeah, because.
But the reality is, you are just not in that space.
The department has a new director at this point. He passed away in February. The job was listed in August, and job was listed right after that, and then we hired somebody in August.
Right.
And then so you see it's a flow on how it works,
Yes.
and so that's why I tell people to live your life.
Absolutely.
Find something that you want to do
They
every day.
will replace you. I think the United Healthcare CEO, if I'm not mistaken,
I wouldn't be surprised.
that job went up. I think it's up now, and I'm being serious.
I believe it.
If not, it would definitely be coming up. You send out the condolences, but the company life goes on.
Yeah,
it still has to go on. And it's no disrespect.
No.
Because what are you going to tell people? I can't pay you because someone just passed away. We're going to tell you can't. That's not the reality. Because the person who you may tell that to may have not ever met them, so they don't have any ties to them anyway.
So that's why I tell people to live your life.
Yes, it's not that they're not compassionate.
Yeah.
It just doesn't affect them at that time.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So now we are at the end where it is time for you to go back in this gym box and leave. Put your name on one side and put your quote or inspiration or words of encouragement.
Okay. So I grab one and
a blank paper.
A blank paper. Okay.
So it's one that's not straight. Yeah, that happened to us yesterday, and so
Okay, one that's not.
I mean, that's straight.
That's straight.
Yeah.
Okay. And leave a note, huh?
Yeah. And you're gonna leave one for you for the next guest that comes in.
That's nice. This is a nice little
Thank
gesture.
you.
Yes.
And there's been some good ones. So put your name on, and first and last name on the first side, and then flip it over.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Fold it up. Fold it in half. Oh, that part, do the other way.
The other way.
And put it in. Well, no, I guess it was. You did have it the right way.
I have the right way?
Probably. No.
Well, they all
Turn
of
them
them are
the other
different.
way.
The other way.
That
Do
way.
this way.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, close it on up. I want to thank you so much, Shonda, for coming on here.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for sharing your voice, sharing your time. And most importantly, everyone who comes into the Care Den.
Oh, wow.
We give you your flowers while we can. So, I want to give you your flowers.
I get flowers?
You do.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much.
You get your flowers.
Give you some
Yes.
love.
And you got a Care. I love you.
I love you, too.
So we go too far back.
Too far back. Oh, my
Like
God. This
literally.
is beautiful.
And
Thank you.
I was your accountability person back in the day.
You was. You helped me out so much. I can honestly say that you saved my life on so many different occasions.
And it wasn't about that. It was just I saw potential. I always see,
Yes.
and you may not liked
Right.
when I was coming in there. Say, oh, here she come.
Right.
And I was okay with that, but I didn't change. So to see you
Yeah,
doing
you didn't.
it,
Yes.
I still stayed on y'all asses.
You did.
I still was in y'all faces, and you probably cussed and called
You
me
did.
names when I walked away, and I was okay with that.
Right.
Because you were a black woman. Yeah. And we were at HBCUs. And I knew from a little girl, when much is given, much is required.
Exactly.
And I knew you guys didn't see that part yet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that you understood. I would make y'all like, put on a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood that. And it wasn't me following. It was like showing up.
Yeah.
Because in the South, they show up.
They do. That's something you had to learn. It's a cultural learn. Yes.
They show up all the time.
They do.
And they put on their suits and their heels, and they was going to class like that. And y'all used to tell me, why you always got to be dressed up? I'm going to be me.
They
I'm
did
like,
go to class like
yes.
that.
And I said, yeah, but I'm going to get the part. And it wasn't a white person telling us that. It was black people who taught us that.
And that's
because
the thing.
Back in the Great Depression and the early baby boom era, they went to school like that.
That's how they
in suits and dress.
Yes.
We always was known for being dressed and being that part.
Exactly.
And then along the way, our era, and we wasn't putting on suits.
No, we got comfortable.
We got comfortable. But so now, you always used to say, why you always got these dressed up parties? Because I don't want people to put on a dress or a suit. For me, when I'm in the casket, I can't see it. I want to see us show up for the part.
And it's funny you say that, because now as a 50-year-old woman, I understand I like the poshness.
Yes.
And it's something that's funny, because today I struggle with that. I said, should I dress like I'm going for business, or should I dress like I'm going to
No,
be
but
me?
this was fine.
And then I said, you know what? I'm going to be me.
Absolutely.
I says, but it doesn't say when I'm dressed to the nines that I'm not being me either. Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
but I said,
yes.
it's a comfortable, it's a good conversation.
This was a conversation I have on yesterday. I had on a whole Sergio Tacchini sweatsuit.
As you should.
I wear what I want to wear. I don't wear based off of what people do.
Right.
For me, I think I started to throw on some Southern University, because at the end of the day,
I was aware. Yeah.
We are HBCU made.
I sit
and
here
we
on
are
their
changing
backs.
things.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I was told that I was not going to be anything because I did not go to UCLA.
Hello.
But same colors.
Hello.
Different state and different journey.
You might want to pick another school because your options of employment will be different.
Absolutely.
That's what they told me. They lied.
Absolutely. That GPA was just as high.
Yes.
My SAT was high, so I could have done what I needed to do, but I did choose a HBCU.
Yes.
And I tell my kids, because of me, they can. And I have one that's at a PWI, and I have one who is probably just super smart, and Nia's going to be mad when she see this, but I don't care, because he's at the Southern University and A&M College, and he's killing it, and he's in the honors college, and he's killing it.
Yes.
But his path was, he wanted to be an HBCU kid, and so he was picking, and then when he picked some in the same SWAC, I said, oh, you better go a little east.
Right, that part.
You can't, or just pick Southern University. And I was dead. I was like, SU, or go further east to another HBCU if that's your route you're taking.
Yes.
And either way, both kids was blessed to do both. And that's it, because Nia was up the street. At
the best of both worlds.
She had the best of both worlds.
Couldn't beat it right there. There we go.
You can't beat it. And your higher education, you can go either way. But for me, I definitely felt like that. I am who I am. I felt Southern University raised me.
They did.
And because we were able to be around people that we never would have been able to see how they were raised, or how they whatever city they came from.
And how a lot of their experience mirrored ours. That was interesting. From across the globe.
From across the globe.
To see that they grew up in an underrepresented community. They grew up in a marginalized community. They grew up... I can count the ones that I met that was truly the Huxtables. And I enjoyed all of them. And I love them.
But people... And it's... Absolutely.
And it's funny because when they shared their stories, they had the same struggles. And it was no different. And it was interesting. The only thing is they had 2-parent households.
Absolutely.
And we had one.
Yes.
So for me, it was a huge eye-opener. So I'm a big fan of let your kids go out of state. Let them find out. My one and only went across the globe, and he enjoyed it, and
he stayed.
And he stayed.
Yeah,
he loved it so much, and and today we celebrate his 25th.
I was gonna say. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, today
Happy
25th
birthday, little D.
That is.
It is his birthday, and so I honestly.
Yeah.
So when you see this, just know we celebrated you on your actual birthday.
Absolutely. Yes.
But you are correct, and I think mainly for us. It's Naya wanted to go to USC. Naya had full scholarships everywhere. And she picked USC. And she said, I want y'all to understand this because this is how serious I am. She thought I was going to buy her a brand new car. Well, just buy me a brand new Benz. And then, because all her schools was full rides.
Right.
She got into all the top schools in the country. And she's like, I'm going to stay here. And then you can just buy me a new car. And I can, I can just drive back and forth to school. I said, oh, honey, let me help you out. College is for experiences. So if you decide to go up the street,
Yes, it is.
You can. But let me help you. Honey, you're going to be in the hood. So you might want to just go somewhere else because USC is in the hood. No disrespect to USC.
It is in the heart of it.
But you are in South LA, but you are going to be on campus. It's just like, I got to walk down Figueroa. And you do. So what you gonna do?
Yeah.
She was looking at Tulane and everything else, and then Tulane was just a long road.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Remember? It was that long road, and she was like, she said, it's away from everything. I said, now let me take you over here. She talked about us, it was okay. And then I said, but I guarantee you'll be okay. And then I took her, I said, I'm going to take you up the street. And then you can still double dip over here.
Because you're going to come and double dip over here.
And you will.
And you will.
Because that band is the coldest band in the land, period. I don't care what Gremlins say. It's too many horns in Gremlins band, so it is what it is.
That part.
And so we got this. And I just want to thank you. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I mean that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
I appreciate you.
Dr. Shonda reminds us that leadership is about amplifying voices, breaking barriers, and creating pathways so others can succeed. You can follow Dr. Shonda's work and research at Dr. Shonda, SCHANDA. Until next time, stay curious, stay powerful, and continue inspiring others.